Good morning, everybody. Gonna get started here in just a second. All right. There we go. It is 1 minute past the top of the hour. Let's get started. Good morning, everybody. This is our Set the Market morning show. If you're here for the first time, my name is Serge Berger from The Steady Trader. This is our morning show. We do 10 to 15 minutes going through the top things on our mind. And if you have any questions, of course, please do let us know along the way. The point, however, is get right to the point without having to waste anyone's time because, time is the most precious commodity that we have. So I would say, without any further ado, let's get started. Obviously, we have an election day today. So from a pure trading perspective, unless we get some clear early results, I would imagine that today is, for many people, at least that I speak with on the professional side, not a day to do a whole lot of stuff in the markets. And then we'll kind of see what it looks like after that. I wanted to really go through two things here today. I wanted to remind you of some of the risk assets that are kind of coiling up still. Two of them, and they're totally not correlated, but they look interesting. And then I wanted to spend a couple more minutes on the just unbelievable bull case for energy through the lens of uranium, among other things. So this is a longer-term chart of Bitcoin. If you are a subscriber of our Bitcoin bracket, which is our weekly Bitcoin update where we tell people whether Bitcoin is bullish from an investment perspective or bearish or neutral, and whether it's bullish, bearish, or neutral from a trading perspective. From a long-term perspective, Bitcoin is still in a neutral composition here. There's some people out there, and I chuckle at this, that are saying that Bitcoin could potentially break out and rally after the election. And I'm not laughing at that because that is possible. The thing I have to laugh at is they show you the two times that it's happened, and they say that it's happened every time. Bitcoin's not very old, right? It's only 12, whatever, something years old. And so that's not much of a history. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the election. It's the fact that there's more stimulus and more liquidity. That's why it goes up. So having said that, at the end of the day, we want to respect the price. And if that were to be something that happens, then of course we can go and look at that. I actually mentioned an ETF yesterday. It's BOTZ. I just want to quickly mention this one again. This is also closely correlated to Bitcoin, but more globally diversified. In fact, way more globally diversified. Has individual stocks in it. So this has. Sorry, this is not related to Bitcoin. This is AI and robotics. Sorry, I don't know where my head's at. But this is one of those things that could certainly start to accelerate to the upside at some point if liquidity remains, and also maybe possibly in the year end. So you may want to put this on your radar as just something to watch. Maybe set some alerts on BOTZ. That's point number one. The second chart, and this is really doesn't have anything to do with either of these, but it's one hell of a chart, and it's EA. This is Electronic Arts. This is a gaming company, meaning they make video games. And I just want you to have a look at this. I have to make this a weekly chart. That's how huge this quote unquote base is, and I'm gonna make this a little bit better for you so you can kind of see what this really looks like. So this is a stock that has been unable to overcome this sort of 150 area in a meaningful way, basically since 2018. So let's call that 6 years. And I think that going into the holiday season now, where a lot of people like to play video games, I'm not a video gamer per se, but I like to play some video games during the holidays. I don't even know why. It just kind of seems to be something that we do sometimes. and of course the sales, right, that come from holiday presents, Christmas presents. So I think that coupled with a potential year-end rally is something that this stock could potentially participate on. So I would watch this one quite closely. And these video gaming stocks are very closely tied to, how good are their blockbuster hits, meaning, and I don't know, I know these guys have a lot of sports games, but I'm sure they have other big games. I'm not a gamer per se, but producing a video game these days can be more expensive than creating a big movie. And if they really hit a home run with one of these video games, the stock will do really well based on just that alone. And so that's kind of the thing. So those are a couple things that I'm watching very closely. And we'll talk about this a bit more tomorrow when we come back in our morning session, before we go and switch over to uranium now in a second. But I want to talk a little bit about the potential for a year-end rally. And the question is, at what point could that possibly start? That's the real big question. When I talk to professional investors and traders, that's really the question we have. I do think there's a good likelihood for a melt-up higher to some extent. I'm not sure it's going to be lights out kind of rally. The question is, where does it start? And a lot of it we should have an answer on. Ideally tomorrow. Most likely it's going to take a bit of time to get some more clarity on all of this, but that's kind of what we're thinking. And again, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. So let's switch on over to this whole thesis, and this is more from an investment perspective. If you guys have talked to us over at Blue Marlin Advisors, you've heard us talk about this higher inflation for longer theme, and this just huge underinvestment and demand for energy, and one way of investing in that is through things like uranium. So just to give you a couple of ideas here, I'm going to show you this website here and a couple of statistics. So hopefully you can see this. If you can't, I'm going to read it for you, so it should be just fine. But what we're looking at here is there's just an increasing electricity demand. Right, so this is specifically onto electricity, but we have an energy demand just broadly, right, like across the board. And this is global. It's not just U.S. The sexier things to talk about that people tend to quickly agree with is the energy demand that AI needs, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, cryptocurrency. Nothing new. We know that, right? Let's call it global warming, if you will, or just at least the transition to ESG. So this is more of or sort of more cleaner energies, right? So all of that, there's just a crazy amount of demand needed. So this chart here, if you look at this is data center power demand, right? This is demand going forward. So let's call it about here now. This chart clearly is about a year old. Maybe a bit more. So we're about here now. So the real acceleration phase, and this is with AI on top. Without AI, it's already steep, but with AI on top, which is, and quite frankly, this might be underestimating. I was looking at some of the inputs to this. It's just fabulous. So for me, there's just so much demand here, such a great reward to risk setup, and I think this can be interesting both from a trading perspective, but certainly from an investing perspective, from an allocation perspective. We know that most people are almost not at all exposed to a higher inflation for longer story. And this demand for energy, in this case, electricity, is just one way, right, to allocate. There's at least 10, 15 ways of doing that, things that need to be in a portfolio that take advantage of this. But this is one of them that I thought I would point out because I think it resonates with a lot of people. And then you can look at something like, just quickly back to the reason for, I think we developed in the United States, we developed the first, we are developing or building the first nuclear plant in 30 years, I think now. So that's underway. And then, of course, we've talked about this here before, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they've all announced that they're investing in nuclear energy. So it's like sort of local or smaller nuclear reactors. Which, by the way, is nothing new, right? There's other companies that have already done this. Global global industrial companies have done this, and they have them, and so that's nothing new. It's just that the growth that these companies are promising, particularly the AI narrative, zero chance of them being able to do it unless they have the electricity to be able to actually support that. And it's not out there. It's the same problem with EV. We simply don't have the electricity available to be able to, for everyone to have EVs. It doesn't exist, right? So there's a huge infrastructure, and the reward to risk on that investment, for me personally, remember, it's not a recommendation. It's simply this is just purely through the lens of education. It's just so much better. To give you an idea of how, for example, nuclear compares to coal, 1 gram of, I heard this yesterday, 1 gram of uranium is equal to, I think it was 4 tons of coal. I want you to really think about this, okay? 1 gram. You know how little a gram is? It's like, right? 1 gram of uranium generates as much power as, I believe it was 4 tons of coal. Okay? So just want you to think about this for a little bit. So if you guys are interested in this theme, make sure you hit us up over at bluemarlinadvisor.com, and you can go and inquire there about how you can invest in these kind of portfolios. But this here is purely educational, so I just thought I would quickly go through that. Another thing I want to quickly mention, if you haven't watched it yet, it actually just came out this morning. I just finished a brand new podcast with Rebecca Wild. They run an ETF that is that uses AI to generate their ideas. So I'm going to post it into the chat box here. This is it just dropped this morning. I recorded it yesterday with Rebecca. They run an ETF called News, NEWZ, and what it is it's not an ETF that invests in AI. It's an ETF that is generating its holdings using AI technology. Fascinating. It's an active ETF, which is a whole other hot topic. So make sure you watch that. I just dropped it into the chat box here as well. So. That's it for us here this morning. Nice, short and sweet, 10, 12 minutes, whatever it's been here this morning. Have a great election day. And if you're an Inner Circle member, we are going to go through our final pre-election prep and our playbook for basically trading through the night tonight. I'm gonna get up very, very early tomorrow morning to do some initial trades. And we will give you that playbook, at least what we're looking to do, in the Inner Circle member session that starts in about 5 minutes. Any questions, as always, please let us know, and we will see you back here tomorrow morning. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, likes, and please subscribe to the channel, because it's going to allow you to get updated in real time when we have a new live session like this, or we have, for example, this interview that just dropped this morning with Rebecca. Again, check that out. It's really cool to have an AI-powered ETF, meaning, again, I'm not investing AI, but it uses AI technology to select their stocks. It's really, really cool. So make sure you give that a look, and we'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning. Thanks.